All right. Welcome to the FIYA Flag Football referees meeting. Appreciate you guys taking the time to be here and to review this video, which we are recording for those of you who are unable to attend. But we did want to also just thank you for your service to the children and getting out there and being referees. Always going to work and not having people cheer for you. That's got to be a tough thing. But again, we at FIYA appreciate all that you guys do. So if you don't know, I'm John Muller, and I have John Farron here with me, and we're the two that are heavily involved with the flag football part of FIYA. And again, FIYA is a nonprofit that provides after-school sports for the middle schools and elementary schools. So just again, kind of orient you, for those of you who may not be familiar, we call our Division 1 8th grade and below, and our Division 2 is 6th grade and below. So you as referees may be refereeing either Division 1 or Division 2. That is what that refers to. So the goal of this meeting is really to, because football is a sport that there's a lot of variations depending on what league you're involved in, whether that's tackle, of course, high school, Pop Warner, and then flag football can have all kinds of variations. So we just wanted to have this brief meeting to kind of uniform what FIYA flag football looks like, so that when you guys come to the field, you at least have the understanding of what we're trying to present, or what we've told all of the schools and the coaches that are involved, how it should look, so that everybody's on board. Again, it's just John and me. There are games throughout the city, so it's difficult for us to be at all the different venues. We're just sort of hoping that this video would help, sort of present what, again, FIYA flag football looks like. So with that said, John, if I miss anything, obviously fill in the blanks, but I'm going to share with you guys what we have shared with all of our coaches. So they will have this, and that is the flag football rules, sort of a condensed version. So ultimately, I'm just going to go through this, and that would essentially be the end of our meeting. So again, you're coming to the field. What we're trying to do this year, if you've coached, if you refereed flag football in the past for FIYA, what we're trying to do is again present some things that haven't been in existence before. So for example, we are asking all the facilities to put a table at midfield, which will serve as the scorers table. And we've given each school one of these puppies, a little portable scoreboard. And so there's a table, scoreboard, and a FIYA pledge on the table. That sideline represents the home team. And so we're telling the home team that they are to be on that sideline and they are to assist with the scorekeeping. On the opposite sideline, we've given all the schools a down marker, and we're telling the away team that they're supposed to be on that sideline and that they are responsible for the down marker. So as you guys know, in any football game, you are calling the captains to midfield to do the whole coin flip deal. And then again, in FIYA, we have a pledge. So you'd be calling both teams to midfield to say the pledge. And one other thing that I didn't have in the rules, but I definitely wanted to mention, is we are trying to get all of our coaches to be to complete their coaching certification program. We've partnered up with an organization called NAYS, and so ultimately, the coaches should have a NAYS coaching card on them. If they've just completed it, they might just have an email. for nays, the card is good for 1 year, but we tell the coaches that in FIYA it's good for 5 years. So if somebody shows you a nays card and it says, expires 2020, well, that would still be valid for this particular year. But we're sort of asking you guys to not be bashful in pregame when you're talking to the captains. Ask the coaches if they have their nays card. And in part, that's to help you guys because, again, as you know, in flag football, the sidelines can be filled with, the players and all kinds of adults. And really, you should only be dialoguing with the coach. And so that's one of the ways of just sort of clearing that communication is the person who has the nays card, they are the coach, and therefore they should be having that dialogue with you and the referee. So anyway, again, I just wanted to go through some of the rules that we have. So again, that's sort of some of the pregame stuff. We're 7-on-7, so we say that a game can start with 6 players. Again, some of the pregame stuff: no pads, no gloves, no metal or screw-on cleats, and no pockets or belt loops on shorts. So again, this is all information that we've communicated to the coaches and the teams, but it doesn't fail that some of these items still pop up. And we give all the teams a FIYA issued flag belt. So it has a belt, 2 belts on the side, 1 on the back. And lastly, each team can provide their own football for, again, Division I, 8th grade and below. That's a U size ball or a size 7 ball. And for Division II, that's a junior size ball or a size 6 ball. So again, this is all sort of the pregame stuff that we're going through. So hopefully that will, again, when you come to the field, make things sort of uniform and sort of allow a more easy sort of transition to start the game. John, anything that on the pregame I missed?
No, I think you covered it well. Just the the key that we always want to stress is make sure both teams are saying the pledge. That's really important to our organization, and we think makes things ultimately easier on you guys if we have everyone on the same page, understanding what sort of behavior is expected from everyone involved in the game.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So then, in terms of, again, the rules, I just feel like just going through them will be beneficial for all involved, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Because as we said at the outset, there are all kinds of flag football leagues out there, and everybody does things a little bit differently. So we just want everybody to be on the same page in terms of FIYA flag football. So for us, it's a 22-minute half with a 3-minute halftime, and the halves are running time the whole time. So as it says there, it says it only stops in the first half. It's only going to stop for timeouts. It's the only reason. You throw a penalty flag, clock still keeps running. Somebody scores, clock still keeps running. Even at the PAT, clock keeps running. So it's 22 minutes. Think of it as soccer. It just keeps running. I guess the caveat in terms of soccer, if somebody gets injured, will allow you to stop the clock. But again, the first half, the only reason why you're stopping the clock is a team is called a timeout. So as the next bullet point says, it's 3 timeouts per half per team. And we basically say about a 30-second timeout. So in the last 2 minutes of the game is the only other time period where the clock could potentially stop on a regular basis. And that's if the score margin is 16 points or less. And then the clock stops, as it says here, on an incomplete pass, running out of bounds, penalties, change of possession, and scores. So again, that's only the last 2 minutes of the game, and if it's 16 points or less in terms of the margin. And then you would restart the clock on the center snap. Just real quickly on our scores, of course, touchdown of 6 points. And then a PAT is 2 points from the 5-yard line and 1 point from the 2-yard line. Defense cannot score on a PAT, so if they intercept the ball, that's the end of the play on PATs. Defense, of course, you could score on safeties, and that's 2 points, and you get the ball on your own 20-yard line following the safety. Mercy rule is that if a team leads by 25 points with 10 minutes or less left in the game, then the game ends. Again, this is one where you can use your judgment and based on the situation with the two teams, if all agree, as we say here, a regular season game may finish with no scorer kept and subs into the game. Then we have information on overtimes. We do a coin flip to determine who goes offense or defense. And for us, the overtime is basically a team chooses to either go for 1 point or 2 points. So the 2-yard line or the 5-yard line. And as it says here, the teams switch and repeat, and the game ends when one team leads after an equal number of tries. So the maximum number of tries is 3. So after 3 rounds, if it's still tied, then that game ends in a tie. Offense, just again, couple of things. All the players are eligible to receive. There are no minimum number of players that need to be on a line of scrimmage. So that's one thing that's always gets confused. Obviously, the center needs to be on the line of scrimmage, but if they want to put the other 6, 4 or 5 yards behind the center, they can do that. So there is no minimum number of players that need to be on the line of scrimmage. And then, as the next bullet point says, this is one that gets changed from various different leagues. But in our league, a ball carrier is allowed to spin. Yes, can spin. Yes, can jump. Yes, can hurdle, as long as that ball carrier is not charging into a defender. I would use my basketball analogy here. So if an offensive player in basketball, charges into a defensive player who's in position, we call charging. That would be the same rule here in football. And the next sentence here: ball carrier cannot dive, though. So that's the one thing. Trying to dive for a first down, dive for the end zone, that's not allowed.
That also includes reaching out the ball.
Correct. Yes. And ultimately, I think I might have it on here, but the way a player gets a first down or a touchdown is not where the ball is. It's where their foot or ultimately their flags are. So that's what determines the placement of the ball. So somebody running and putting the ball leaning forward across the line, yeah, that's good in most football, but not in FIYA Flag Football. Okay, so running up the middle, always an issue. And one of the things that we have attempted to do this year, certainly with fields that have grass, is we've actually created a dashed line up the middle. And that's for 2 reasons. One, to allow you guys as referees to, one, know where the middle is, so that you can easily place the ball after a tackle is made. Because again, in FIYA Flag Football, when a play is dead and we start the next down, it should always start on the middle of the field. And that's why we put the hash marks. Second reason for the hash marks is it gives you a little bit of a visual, depending on your angle, to actually see what quote unquote the middle is. We've defined it as 1 yard to each side of that line. So that is the quote unquote the middle. And our rule is that a player is not allowed to run up the middle immediately after the snap. And again, as the bullet point says here, it's roughly 2 to 3 seconds. So the whole idea with why you're not allowed to run up the middle is ultimately a protection of the center. So the feeling is after 2-3 seconds, the center has already snapped the ball. It should be upright and should be in a ready position so that if any contact is made, the center would be fine. So again, quarterback takes a snap and is trying to pass, looking, doesn't see anything, and runs straight up the middle. That's okay, because presumably that was done after 2 to 3 seconds passed. So again, that's the information that we have shared with the coaches. It's always an issue with the coaches, as you might imagine. So to the extent that we're all on the same page, will benefit everybody. Just another offensive thing that comes up is a player's flag belt falls off. So I'm running. I've already caught the ball, and then I'm running, and my flags fall off. Nobody's pulled it. Of course, it doesn't matter. I'm dead where the ball's dead where the flags fall off. And then the second scenario is I'm a receiver. I'm going out for the pass, and before the ball has even come to me, my flags have fallen off. I'm still eligible. If the ball comes to me and I catch it, then I'm just immediately down. I don't need to be tagged. It's just down where I caught the ball because I don't have any flags. So again, that kind of varies with different flag football leagues. But the rule in FIYA is if the flag belts fall off before I get the ball, I am down once I do get the ball. And again, some of the things that have come up in the past, sometimes runners, they run with their arms down at their sides, sort of a devious way of flag guarding. Ultimately, that's a judgment call for you, the referees. But in general, I would say that that's flag guarding. So if you called that a penalty, that certainly would be fine. John, anything on offense or anything that I've missed?
No, just again to stress that with the running up the middle, the key is that just trying to avoid injury to that center. So just it's obviously a judgment call, but that's the frame of mind you should be in as you're watching the play unfold. If the run up the middle happened so quick that the center was in danger, then that's a penalty. If there was a delay and the center is okay, then the play is okay.
All right. So moving on to just a couple things touch about defense. So on defense, it's always confusing because people think, oh, you can't run up the middle. So as it says there, defense can, yes, they can rush up the middle as long as there's no immediate contact with the center, because that's our role. It's the protection of the center. So if some defender runs up the middle and they don't touch anybody and then they pull the quarterback's flags or the running back's flags, that's fine. If they make contact with the center, then that's not fine. That is a penalty. So just again, wanted to emphasize that. Any ball that hits the ground is dead. So, bad snaps, wherever it hits the ground, it's dead. It'd be the next down. A player runs with the ball and fumbles it and it hits the ground, then it's dead. And of course, defenders should only be trying to pull flags. They should not be trying to strip the football to, quote, cause a fumble. That actually is a penalty. So those are some of the things to look out for on defense. And then, of course, lastly, there's no tackling or holding the ball carrier, and no roughing the quarterback during or after a pass. So that often happens where, a quarterback has thrown the ball and a defender and rushing in can make contact with them. So again, we're concerned about the safety for the quarterback, as any league is. So that should be called as a penalty. Anything on defense, John, to add, or we're good there?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. So kicks and punts. So we're trying to make it easy and, again, eliminate some of the areas where there are some safety concerns. So there's no kickoffs. And in the past, we said we start for the 25-yard line, but we're just trying to make it simple. There's already a line at the 20. So ball goes at the offensive team's own 20-yard line, and it's go time. Again, keep in mind on the clock, I've just scored a PAT, and you're telling the two teams, switch it up, offense to defense, defense to offense. So you, as the referee, you're asking for the offense, his ball. You go and put that down on the 20-yard line, then start the play clock for, delay of game. But the game clock, that's still going because it never stops, except as we noted up earlier. So again, no kickoffs. You start at your own 20-yard line. And then no punts. We had instituted that last year. So there's no punts either. So on fourth down, as it says here, if the ball is on the 40 or past the 40 is our midfield. If it's on or past the 40-yard line, then the offense must go for it on fourth down. So no choice, just go for it. If the ball is before the 40-yard line, so it's in the offense's own zone of the field, then the offense may go for it on fourth down. If they decide they don't want to go for it, then they're forfeiting the ball, and in doing so, you are walking 10 yards toward the defensive team, and then the defensive team, of course, now becomes the offense, and we switch it up. Hopefully that made sense. Anything to add there, John?
No, I think you got it.
All right. So these are really, when you get down to it, when you look at flag football, these are the basic things to deal with. So the last thing I just wanted to touch upon is our penalties. So again, this would be beneficial for you guys to carry this condensed rules. The coaches are. We try to simplify them a little bit. We basically have either a 5-yard penalty or a 10-yard penalty. There's no 15-yard penalty. It's either 5 or 10. So on the offensive side, delay of game, offsides, too many players in motion, or too many players on the field. Those are really the basic standard ones that are going to occur for an offense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage, and you repeat the down. Also 5-yard penalties, but a loss of down. This is so 5 yards from the spot would be flag guarding, running up the middle, charging into a defensive player. So that's that again. Player is jumping or running forward, and a defensive player is sort of stationary. They just run them over. That's charging. Legal forward pass or intentional grounding. Those are all the basic ones you would get from flag football. So those would all be 5 yards from the spot and loss of down. Okay, so those are sort of the basics. And then on the 10-yard penalties, we sort of broke up the holding and clipping into two. One is, the holding and clipping that occurs at the line of the scrimmage or in the backfield. So in that case, the penalty is enforced from the line of scrimmage, 10 yards, and you repeat the down. Again, that's assuming the opposing team accepts the penalty, of course. And then the other case with holding and clipping that occurs downfield, the penalty is enforced there from the spot of the penalty. And of course, as the sentence says here, if the penalty occurs after the first down is gained, then the first down stands, and then you mark it back 10 yards from the spot there. 10 yards and loss of down for offense, that would be pass interference. So offensive pass interference, pushing the ball carrier, that's enforced from the spot. And any unsportsmanlike or unnecessary roughness, flag altering from the offense, that's 10 yards from the spot and loss of down. And then lastly, to chat real quickly about defensive penalties. Again, they would only be 5-yard, 10-yard penalties. The basic 5 yards from the line of scrimmage and repeat is essentially going to be offsides or too many players in the field. There's really not much more than that. The 10-yard penalty from the spot and repeat down would be holding the ball carrier. So what is holding the ball carrier? That could be grabbing a body part like an arm or a leg, or it could be grabbing a uniform. So missing their flag belt and grabbing and holding on to their shorts and not letting go, holding on to their jersey. Those will all be things that arguably would be holding. So those things should be called. And again, as it says there, it's a 10-yard penalty from the spot and repeat the down. And then lastly, the ones that are 10 yards from the line of scrimmage and an automatic first down. So these are penalties by the defense that you're going to be marking off 10 yards, and it's automatic first down. So that's defensive pass interference. Yeah, not like the NFL where, I throw a 40-yard pass down to the goal line and it's defensive pass interference. The ball's not at the goal line. Got to go back to the 40-yard line, mark off 10 yards, automatic first down. So it's more like the college rule. Roughing the passer, illegal contact with the center, stripping the ball, or if you're trying to force a fumble. Those are all 10-yard penalties, automatic first downs. And again, any unsportsmanlike and unnecessary roughness also are 10-yard penalties and automatic first downs. So, again, we're just trying to highlight some of the, if you go on our website, onfi.org, we have the whole rules, which is like 13, 14 pages. But the reality is this little condensed version is really all you need, as long as you read it before the game just to refresh your memory on FIYA Flag Football rules. You should be in great shape. So again, thank you for all that you guys do. We just wanted to have this meeting to allow sort of, again, a uniformity when there's a FIYA Flag Football game. Certain things that we should all be observing should be occurring. Again, coaches should have nays cards. If they don't, we're not saying to enforce any punishment, but note it, and then feel free to tell the signer, and the signer can get back to us. We, of course, on our own are following up with the coaches to make sure that they're certified. I think that's just a process that's good for them, and it's good for you guys as referees. So I don't know, anything else, John, to cover here? Or?
Yeah, just wanted to add that, we appreciate the work you guys all do for us. We know officiating is difficult and often thankless. So we just want to make sure we're on the same page here. If we get a complaint about a missed call, we're going to have your back. We know what you go through. We know you're doing the best you can. We're going to defend you in those kinds of cases. But if we get a call that a rule was misapplied or the timing was done wrong, that gets harder to defend. So we just want you to take a few minutes to go through this and make sure you understand what is different about FIYA Flag Football, and just so that everyone is playing with the same rules. And I think if we can do that, we're going to have a successful season. So thank you all for all your hard work, and we're looking forward to it.
All right, awesome. And so again, many of you might be viewing this recorded video. So if questions come up, feel free to reach out to us. But otherwise, good luck in the season. We hope to see you all out there on the FIYA Flag football fields. So with that, we'll sign off and see you down the road.